It began with a whisper, an echo from antiquity, buried beneath centuries of sand and stone. Scholars had dismissed it as myth, a tale told by wandering mystics and scribes who spoke in riddles. But hidden in plain sight, etched into the very layout of ancient cities, sacred monuments, and celestial alignments, was something far more deliberate, something engineered. A map of the gods. Not a chart of earthly lands, but a vast coded blueprint, connecting the ancient world's most revered sites in a geometric pattern so precise it defied coincidence. From the pyramids of Giza to the ruins of Tiwanaku, from Stonehenge to Angkor Wat, lines drawn between these monuments formed sacred geometries, echoing star constellations and alchemical symbols. The idea first took shape when French researcher Jean-Pierre Dumont stumbled upon a forgotten manuscript deep in the catacombs beneath the Vatican Library. It was unsigned, unindexed, and written in a cryptic blend of Latin, Greek, and Sumerian. Within its brittle pages lay diagrams, stars, angles, ley lines, superimposed over the globe with alarming accuracy. It spoke of the heaven grid, an invisible lattice woven by divine architects to transmit energy, knowledge, and power. According to the manuscript, the ancients were not primitive builders, but custodians of a planetary design far older than humanity itself, a map to something beyond this world. And then the disappearances began. Historians who studied the grid theory too closely often vanished without explanation, their notes burned, their offices ransacked. One archaeologist reportedly muttered before his death, "They don't want us to follow the lines, because the lines lead home." But what exactly did these ancient sites map out? What were they leading to? That's where the mystery deepens. Satellite imagery, when analyzed under certain harmonic frequencies, revealed overlapping nodes of energy at key monument locations. These nodes pulsed faintly, like signals. One such node, buried beneath Lake Titicaca in Bolivia, emitted strange electromagnetic readings every solstice. A diver who explored its depths claimed to see doors of light open beneath the surface and then never resurfaced. Meanwhile, across the globe, in Luxor, Egypt, a set of inscriptions long thought to be funerary poems were retranslated by an independent linguist named Rashid al-Nur. His controversial interpretation? Directions. Directions encoded in metaphor, pointing toward an eternal convergence where skyfire meets earthstone. The coordinates, when plotted, pointed to an uninhabited region in Antarctica, currently sealed off by international treaty. At this point, major powers began to take notice. A U.S. reconnaissance drone allegedly crashed over the suspected grid nexus in Antarctica. Leaked footage showed a flash of geometric light moments before signal loss. The official explanation? Technical malfunction. But an anonymous whistleblower from within a European intelligence agency claimed otherwise. In an encrypted message, he warned, "What lies at the center is not a relic, it is not a place, it is an instruction. Once activated, it changes everything." Could it be that this global map was not merely architectural, but technological? A circuit board? A planetary machine? And if so, who or what designed it? The ancients spoke often of the gods, beings of immense power who descended from the heavens bearing knowledge. The Sumerians called them the Anunnaki. The Dogon people of Mali described them as amphibious creatures from the Sirius star system. In India's Vedic texts, they appear as the Devas, wielding weapons that could shatter mountains. What if they were not gods at all, but engineers? The pieces were beginning to align. The world's oldest structures, its most sacred sites, all echoed a single design philosophy, one that seemed less symbolic and more functional. Researchers at a private institute in Prague developed a model simulating the energy flow between grid points. When fed precise coordinates and dates, the simulation produced harmonic frequencies that, when converted to audio, matched ancient chants sung in temples across Asia and South America. Coincidence? or activation code. An rogue scientist named Dr. Elias Varn, formerly of CERN, took things further. He posited that the grid was designed to interface with something, not just spiritual or energetic, but perhaps even dimensional. He called it the Apotheon Protocol. According to Varn, the blueprint encoded in ancient structures wasn't just symbolic. It was predictive. A countdown. A synchronization event. He claimed that in the year 2025, during an ultra-rare celestial alignment, the energy grid would resonate into phase, briefly unlocking a gateway buried somewhere near the heart of the oldest human city, Eridu. And then he disappeared. His last known message, uploaded to an anonymous dark web server, was a single sentence. "They are returning." What if the monuments of Earth were not made to honor the gods, but to summon them? What if the map wasn't just a blueprint, but a key? The answers may lie where modern science refuses to look, buried beneath ancient myths, encoded in sacred geometry, and etched into stone by hands we can't explain. But if the map is real and the convergence is near, then we are standing on the threshold of a revelation so profound it could unravel everything we know about our past and future. The coordinates led to Eridu, long considered by mainstream archaeology to be the oldest city in Mesopotamia, and by ancient mythologies the birthplace of kingship bestowed by the gods. Buried beneath layers of sand and millennia of conquest, Eridu was dismissed as just another Sumerian ruin, until the excavation team uncovered something they weren't supposed to. Beneath the weathered ziggurat stones, deeper than any known cultural stratum, they discovered a black slab, smooth, cold, humming faintly. Not carved, but constructed, not ancient, but unaging. They called it the threshold stone. It was made of a material no lab could identify. When a technician brought a compass within 5 feet of it, the needle spun violently. Nearby equipment suffered electronic failures. Some claimed to hear voices, low-frequency murmurs like a chant from beneath the earth, and at its base was a single symbol, a spiral within a triangle surrounded by 12 glyphs. That same configuration had been independently found etched on rocks in Bolivia, in the ruins of Mohenjo-Daro, even hidden on the base of an obelisk in Vatican City. It became clear the sites weren't random. They were connection points, nodes on a planetary mechanism. And the threshold stone, whatever it was, may have been the central access point. But to what? Researchers linked the 12 glyphs to constellations, not the ones we see today, but their positions as they were over 12,000 years ago, a time frame eerily close to the end of the last ice age, and the date many alternative historians associate with Atlantis. If the glyphs were star markers, they were not meant for us. They pointed to something outside Earth's timeline. Some speculated they aligned with arrival windows or times when a rift could open between our world and somewhere else. Meanwhile, activity across the grid sites intensified. In Cambodia, monks at Angkor Wat reported a strange vibration in the temple floor during sunrise meditations. In Peru, hikers near the Nazca Lions captured footage of sudden flashes of light that formed triangles in the air before vanishing. And in Giza, a mysterious hum was detected beneath the Sphinx, rising in frequency with the moon cycle. Then came the signal. It was first picked up by an amateur radio enthusiast in Iceland, an irregular burst of coded pulses on a frequency previously considered dead space. Within days, similar signals were detected in Chile, Kazakhstan, and Japan. Each pulse, when plotted on a map, triangulated around Eridu. An algorithm designed to decode the pulses found that when slowed down 1000x and converted to sound, they formed a harmonic progression, the exact same tones found in the ancient Sumerian hymn, the Song of the Stars. Coincidence or a warning? A secret society known as the Order of the Pale Sun, long thought to be extinct, resurfaced with startling claims. In a rare leaked document, they described the Earth not as a planet, but as a vessel, a repository for knowledge left by pre-human intelligence. According to them, the monuments serve as tuning forks, synchronizing Earth with higher dimensional frequencies. They warned that the final phase of activation, known as the ionic alignment, would begin when all 12 glyph locations resonated in harmony. Satellite scans confirmed something no one could explain. In each of the 12 sites, over a 3-week window, the temperature of the ground rose by exactly 1.44 degrees Celsius. No environmental cause could account for it. And always, always, the same phrase, repeated in different languages, across time, continent, and culture. The gods will return when the world remembers the song. As pressure mounted, intelligence agencies became involved. One by one, the sites were locked down. Official narratives ranged from geological instability to cultural preservation. But those who had seen the data knew better. And then, something truly impossible happened. The threshold stone turned. It rotated 33 degrees on its own axis, without machinery, without explanation, and when it did, the sky above Eridu darkened as if the sun had dimmed. For precisely 108 seconds, satellite feeds went black. What followed was more chilling than any artifact or inscription. A beam of light shot from the stone straight into the sky. Not a flare, but a geometrically shaped column, hexagonal, pulsing, almost intelligent. It disappeared without a trace. And with it, so did the excavation team. Gone. No bodies, no wreckage, only their last transmission, a scrambled voice repeating the same sentence over and over. The gate is not a place, it's a frequency. Could the ancients have mapped not just the earth, but a pathway to the stars? Were the monuments never meant to be found by us, but triggered by us? And most disturbing of all, what if the gods never left? What if they've simply been waiting? What came next wasn't part of any official report. It wasn't documented in journals, archived in museums, or analyzed in peer-reviewed studies. It came from whispers, leaked memos, anonymous voices on encrypted servers, and an intercepted communique between 2 top-level officials, marked above cosmic clearance. The document was simply titled Project Anchor Point. Within it lay a hypothesis more disturbing than anything uncovered at Eridu. That the Earth is not just aligned to a grid of ancient monuments, it's tethered to something else. Using recovered data from the Threshold Stone event, a team of rogue physicists in Zurich recreated the geometric pulse pattern. When translated into 3-dimensional vector maps, the results shocked them. A multi-layered dodecahedral structure not just encompassing Earth, but replicated in 4 overlapping dimensions. This wasn't just architecture. It was architecture of space-time. One of the Zurich team, Dr. Soren Halvich, published a heavily veiled version of his findings in a fringe academic journal. 2 weeks later, he was dead. Official cause? Heart failure. Unofficially, his lab was torched in a fire that left no fingerprints, except for a single glyph spray-painted on the concrete wall. The spiral inside the triangle. At the same time, global magnetic anomalies began to rise. Compasses faltered near ancient sites. Migratory birds veered off course by thousands of miles. The Schumann resonance, Earth's natural frequency, spiked beyond known thresholds. And in the silence of the Siberian tundra, near the ruins of Arcane, a strange signal repeated nightly from deep underground. It's awake. The convergence wasn't theoretical anymore, it was accelerating. And then, one by one, the monuments began to respond. At Machu Picchu, infrared cameras recorded the appearance of a hexagonal lattice hovering faintly above the Temple of the Sun, visible only under certain frequencies. At Göbekli Tepe, excavation crews uncovered a sealed chamber beneath Pillar 43, containing an obsidian sphere suspended in midair, humming. And beneath the Giza Plateau, something stirred in the bedrock. Seismologists detected rhythmic vibrations, too uniform for natural tectonics. Analysis revealed a pattern that matched one of the earliest surviving Sumerian star maps. The implication? The monuments are tuning themselves. At this point, global power structures began to panic. A classified summit held deep beneath the Swiss Alps brought together the heads of several secretive agencies. The leaked agenda listed one item: containment protocol, realignment event. But it was too late. In a remote village near Baalbek, Lebanon, an ancient altar cracked open for the first time in recorded history, revealing a tunnel carved with unknown tools. At its end, a metallic door bearing no hinges or locks, only a concave depression shaped like a human hand, with 6 fingers. The local elder collapsed after touching the symbol, murmuring, "They are not gods, they are engineers." Meanwhile, encrypted transmissions continued, this time from deep-sea stations in the Pacific. Sonar detected what divers described as a humming monolith located near the submerged ruins of Yonaguni. Footage revealed a perfect 64-sided polygon rising from the sea floor. Inside it, a hollow chamber filled with swirling glyphs, floating in mid-air. And in the center, a pedestal, empty, waiting. Then came the alignment. On the winter solstice, all 12 grid points flared with localized electromagnetic surges. Satellites caught glimpses of light pillars, not beams but intricate spirals, ascending vertically. For 12 minutes, power grids in the surrounding regions failed. Electronics shut down. Clocks reset. But when power returned, something had changed. The stars. The constellations in the night sky had shifted, by less than a fraction of a degree. Yet every observatory confirmed it. The Earth had tilted, not by nature but by design. And then, in the silence that followed, the message came. Broadcast simultaneously through non-operational channels, embedded into dead satellites, hijacking digital billboards in major cities. A single phrase, translated instantly into every known language. The map is now active. What does that mean? Is something arriving? Or has something already awakened? The monuments aren't just connected, they are aligned for a purpose. Not to remember the past, but to initiate the future. But if this blueprint is a system, who turned it on? And what exactly is it built to open? In the weeks following the activation, a strange stillness fell over the grid. No new signals. No electromagnetic spikes. It was as if the system had gone into hibernation or worse, observation. Across the globe, independent researchers, mystics, and black-budget insiders scrambled to piece together what had happened. But all roads, mythic, scientific, and esoteric, led to a single recurring concept. The eye. Whispers of an all-seeing eye have haunted humanity's collective memory for millennia. But this was not a metaphor, it was literal. Buried in a Vatican sub-basement, a forbidden hermetic text titled Oculus Veritatis was retrieved and decoded by a former Jesuit cryptologist. It described an ancient mechanism known as the Eye of the Architects, a construct capable of perceiving across dimensions, beyond time and into the intent of thought. The text warned, "When the eye opens, the builder shall see us as we truly are, not as what we have become, but what we were engineered to be." That phrase, engineered to be, chilled even the most hardened skeptics. Were we not born of earth but of design? Around this time, several individuals, spread across different countries, ages, and belief systems, began reporting identical dreams. In them, they stood on a vast platform made of black glass, suspended over a void of shifting light. Above them hovered a colossal geometric form, rotating slowly, a dodecahedron made of golden beams. Each face pulsed with symbols they could not read, but instinctively understood. And then, The same message echoed through their minds. The map is not to navigate space, it is to unlock memory. Memory, not just personal memory, but ancestral. DNA sequencing labs in 3 different countries reported an inexplicable event. Ancient segments of so-called junk DNA began expressing new protein chains. In every case, the affected individuals had either lived near or come in contact with one of the 12 grid sites. This wasn't evolution. This was activation. And then came the disappearance. Not of artifacts, not of researchers, but of entire places. A Mayan temple in the Guatemalan jungle. Gone, overnight. No rubble, no signs of demolition, only a smooth depression in the earth, as if it had been lifted intact. In Siberia, a black obelisk from the Denisovan era vanished from its cave. In its place, a spiraling sigil burned into the rock, still warm hours after it was found. Authorities said nothing, but internally, a single word appeared in multiple interagency briefings. Extraction. Across encrypted networks, a theory emerged. The map formed by monuments, activated through celestial harmonics, was never meant to be read like a conventional chart. It was a resonance key. Each site a tuning fork, each symbol a harmonic lock. And the entire Earth is not a vessel, not a prison, but a vault, containing something ancient, something sealed away during the last cycle. Something the ancients could not destroy, but only delay. And now, with the system online, the vault had begun to open. In a hidden chamber beneath Mount Kailash, long considered forbidden by Tibetan monks, explorers uncovered an artifact unlike any other. A floating cube of metal that shifted shape as if alive. It spoke, not in words but in pulses, vibrations that affected heart rhythms and neural activity. A translator died after prolonged exposure, but before his mind failed, he wrote down a phrase over and over again. The first ones return not from the stars, but from beneath the ash of forgotten eons. The system was not only activated, it was beginning to execute. As humanity, we weren't just discovering ancient knowledge. We were waking up inside someone else's design. Now, with tectonic anomalies rising, planetary magnetic shifts increasing, and dream phenomena sinking across continents, the final glyph begins to glow, deep beneath Antarctica's ice, where military satellites detect something enormous shifting beneath the surface. A shape, larger than Manhattan, older than any civilization, perfectly aligned with the map. A final warning, etched in gold beneath the threshold stone, is now visible for the first time in 12,000 years. So the question remains, were the monuments built to protect us, or to hold something in? Because if the map is a lock, then someone or something just found the key.